Alright, good morning, people. I'm recording. I don't feel like going live. I was tired. I hadn't gotten much rest for 3 days. Because this man wanted to make some money. He made some money renting out space in this room to two people with very serious situations in terms of their girth and their inability to even be able to draw a breath while just, walking about, much less at night when they were sleeping. So, even with earplugs and meditation and earbuds or whatever I can come up with, I got very little sleep for 3 days and I was not happy. After the first night, I told him what was going on, and he didn't handle the situation, but he's a good businessman and he believes in karma. Well, karma's a bitch. And he's got a lot of shit on him. I can see it already. How you conduct yourself, what you say, the questions you ask, the conversations you're willing to have and not willing to have speak volumes. The one thing I know about this world in which we all occupy and live in is everybody has an opinion and everybody's looking for something. Everybody, seems to think that they know something emphatically when actually they don't. I told you I've been looking at a lot of stuff that's going on. I'm not just talking about all this inclement weather and these storms and crazy people and whatnot, but I'm looking at the storylines too, various people's lives and the things that people say they believe and don't believe. And for an example, that lawyer who's on the run, the one who built a number of people out of some money, like, I don't think it was quite $1 million. It was like probably more like $500,000 from clients. And he was caught and, arrested, disbarred, and sentenced to some jail time. And he was supposed to turn himself in. The judge gave him 2 weeks to get his affairs in order and then turn himself in to serve. He said, okay. And he cut off his ankle bracelet monitor because he's getting his affairs in order now. Trust me, he's getting his affairs in order. He cut off his ankle monitor and he went to his mother's house. This is what they theorize. Because, see, the mother had bailed him out and said she believed her son was a good son and that he wouldn't harm anybody. He wouldn't kill anybody. But now she dead, and they look up at him for the murder because her car is missing. Now, I didn't make this shit up. This is what's being reported in the news. I know you see the story. I know you know what the story is all about. That woman gave birth to, unless he was adopted, raised that child, and at the same time said what she knew that child was incapable of doing. But at the same time, out of her own mouth, that child, not only did he do that, possibly, but he started first with you. So you think you really don't know what that man is or is not capable of when he already has a criminal mindset. Because he had no conscience, did not steal that money from the people. He had no respect for the law that he had took, studied and, took an oath supposedly to uphold and to serve. That man pretty much spat in an entire establishment system's face. And he did it as a white man. Are you paying attention to me? See, the face of evil or the face of somebody who is not trustworthy doesn't always come in one particular coloration. It comes in all the colors. Taste the rainbow. No matter where you come from, no matter what your religious beliefs, no matter what your ideologies, no matter what you think you know, about the universe that you say you now are. You're minutiae in it. You are not that consciousness. You're not that bright. When you sit there and make a statement that this is you as spiritual New Age teachers now, because I'm telling you, I've studied a lot of shit because I'm studying you. When you sit there and you say, well, God doesn't know what it's like to do this, so that's why, we live this experience. Do you know how stupid you sound? Something that would give rise to something as complex as a microorganism, which is you, that don't even know why you have a runny nose until you find out why you have a runny nose. That you might need to take some Dayquil, or just get a good night's sleep, or take an allergy pill. I need to dumb my ass down to experience that shit when you're the one begging for somebody to wipe it? What the hell is wrong with you? Now I'm sitting here listening to all this crap. I done already had all kind of conversations with my Father, who is God. And I said, I don't understand why you would do this to me. Because in this day and age, I can't get a job now. Because if you go on social media and you read any of my posts and you see any of the things that I've recorded, you're going to sit there and say, well, you think you Jesus Christ. And you think you know him because you go to church. That's my question to you. Right? So, if you don't see him in me, if you don't see him in another, how the hell are you going to sit there and tell me you're going to know him when he shows up at your doorstep knocking and saying, can I come in? That's how stupid you sound. So don't use your knowledge of the Bible or what it is to be spiritual and so loving to express what love is supposed to be all about, when love that is, as is being expressed by you, is really only about you. And you do realize that, don't you? You go outside of yourself for all kind of things that you need, but you're not always so giving. And at the same time, you expect the universe to give all the time. How stupid do you sound now, as you are some divine being expressing yourself? You're more like the devil than not, because the devil didn't listen to God either. And you sit there and say, there is no devil. Oh, no, 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 no. There's a fallen angel, and he was branded to be the devil. Ignorant. He had a place at one side of God at one time, if you understand the story, people. Michael is the angel of truth, who still stands at God's side. The devil was cast down, not out. He didn't get thrown out of heaven, meaning that he got thrown out of the universe. He got cast down beneath him. He says, I don't subscribe to you. I have a will, and I am that which I am. You will either comply, or you will always play at my feet. Now, being God has no feet, that means he put them down someplace beneath him. And that's this planet. Even though it is his creation, and everything on it is his creation. And the devil does occupy this world, and if you think he doesn't, then you apparently don't know your neighbors. For those of you who have murderers living at your house next door. I'm tired of looking at stories in the news about people talking about, I never suspected that of those people. Like the two brothers. One killed the other one, then committed suicide. They were always so quiet. Their mother died of cancer like a year ago. We had no idea. But yet you got people out there telling you, oh, you God. You know what I notice about people who say that you're God? They always subscribe to only the people who are willing to listen to them. And the rest of the people, they ain't got time for. Unless you got some money for them. Then they're happy to see you. But don't ask them for anything. They're the person was telling you about boundaries and stuff. They have to set up boundaries that you're emotionally draining and taxing. Oh, I saw that in post this morning. I thought that shit was hysterical. I don't know, really. And you're an agent of the divine, but at the same time, you putting up barriers. But at the same time, that agent, you don't have any barriers when it comes to going back to spirit and asking for some shit, including information that you can now sell. Oh, that's rich. In fact, that's sick. Because the person that you are, that you've done all this work on to be such a good, conscientious, brilliant mind, don't have one. You have a need. You have a need to feel good about yourself, to justify all your actions and more. You don't know shit about religion because you really never studied it. You never subscribed to its teachings, even when you were in the church. And as a spiritual being, you ain't no better. Oh yeah, you believe in a lot of the shit that's still involved in religion, because angels are in religious texts. That's not the problem. Spirit is in religious texts. That's not the problem. See, you are even in religious texts. No, that is a problem because you don't like how they painted you. You just proved their point. You're out there poking your nose in places you have no business poking it, and you don't know what the outcome is because there's always a yin to the yang. You go to work, you get a job, you make an honest wage, but you have no idea that the things that you guys are producing at the various factories that you work at, how the toxins and stuff that's going in the air is contributing to global warming. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Because even when you get that check, you still have to pay somebody. And not just Uncle Sam. Who's actually screwing you right now? Because I hope you like your new Trump tax overhaul. I think those stories are funny too. Why? Because the people didn't get what they thought they were going to get because they made a deal with the devil when they knew he was a devil because he told him he was. He told you, I will grab you by your genitalia. And you said that was okay because you didn't think he was going to grab you. He was going to grab somebody else. You all in it together. Did you forget when you make that statement what that means? This is how you all intertwine and how you all interconnected. I'm in it for myself until I am not. And then I need somebody to come in. Who's the first responder? My house is burning up. Where y'all at? You coming? We can't save them all. Oh. And then they're going to have a benefit concert for you. And they raise money so you can start to rebuild. It's not going to replace everything, but it will give you a start. That's more than most people get. The rats in City Hall. Oh, it's always been a problem. Eric Garcetti said that. But now, he said, you know, it's not as bad as they painted in the news to be. And it's probably not. But the thing is, it does shed light on the fact that there is typhus down there in downtown L.A. because of the trash and the filth and more that they ain't cleaning up. As we got our new pristine gold lines and overhaul of the blue line and things of that nature, which does need to be overhauled, by the way. Don't get me wrong. But what I want to say is this. You went to work real quick to do something about the rodent population in City Hall as far as the actual literal rodents were concerned, but not the ones that are you making policies and procedures. And we still got a problem with the homeless people that you've been working on for I don't know how many years. I want to know one thing, because I was here in 1984 when we hosted the Olympics. I just graduated college. I worked the concessions. There was no traffic during that time. Why? They said because you changed when they can actually have those trucks on the road, and they had to deliver overnight. Because you wanted it to be a pleasing experience for all that influx of capital. Then at the same time, there were no homeless people on the street. Why? They say because you put them on buses and you ship them out somewhere. Did you just ship them off and put them in the wilderness somewhere, or did you put them up someplace where they could be properly taken care of? And if that's the case, why did you stop and why are they back? See, I want to ask questions that people should be able to answer. Because the thing is, if you don't want to see a homeless person in your neighborhood, like here, these people call the police, and the police come and usher them out. I've watched them do it. You're not going to impact my property values. Oh, I know people like that. Blind eye and deaf ear much, people. See, what you refuse to see and what you refuse to hear is not your problem until it's your problem. And if you don't understand why you are not God, but at the same time you constantly praying to something, and I don't even care about these people who sit there and say, well, you know, we are the divine. I'm like, okay, so who is Elias? Who is Abraham? Who are all these entities that reside outside of yourself, and why do they need to talk to you? Oh, they're benevolent, loving creatures? Really? To me, it sounds like you're talking to some contactees who run an experiment on you. Not unlike an anal probe, what people like to talk about when, you know, they said they got caught up in a brilliant light. And where were you? Well, I was on this ship, and these things came in, and I mean, they didn't have any mouths or something, but I could understand what they were saying. They were touching my mind. The next thing I know, they were sticking stuff up my ass. If you actually knew what you sounded like, because you're trying to make sense out of something that you cannot make sense of because you don't know what it is. The progression of mankind is supposed to be that, a progression, not a recession. But you've recessed to such a state of awareness and being, and more, it's not even funny. I mean, how far back in the archives you going to go trying to dig up some shit? And think you're going to find out the answers? They didn't know how they made the pyramids back then. Not to leave a record for you. But at the same time, I guess you think you're going to discover that lost knowledge by going back. Just like you're going to find Christ by going back. Because, you know, you're going back to a time before he existed. By your behavior. And the second coming, you ain't going to learn any quicker because at the same time, even back then they had to come to understand who Christ was. And come to believe it. And you don't know who he is. Much less can believe it. As far as you're concerned, Christ is you. And we already know you don't know shit. So, do you really think much? I need to drink some more water. Yeah. And wash my face too. It's early. I've been sleeping. I got a lot of sleep. I was talking to my father. I was like, you know, I got to get out of this house. He said, I know. I'm going to move you. This time. I said, okay. I said, this is ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense. He said, that's why I want you to talk. Because see, the thing is, when he told me he was going to wake me up, the only thing he said, he wanted me to contribute to the conversation. He said he didn't want me to fix anything. He just wanted me to contribute to the conversation and get you to think. Because right now, you ain't thinking. You're feeling. You're emoting. You're feeling about how you feel. How you want it. You know. Anytime you sit there and say that a dog or a cat is your child, they might be like a family member, true enough. But they're that family member who don't go out and get a job other than to sit there and just be there at your beck and call when you come home. And hopefully they ain't done some shit in your house that you really have to clean up. Because when you come in from a hard day's work, the last thing you want to do is clean up some shit. Dog or cat. And all they got to do is come around you and purr or whimper and rub up against you. And then you say, oh, it's all forgiven. If only it was that easy when it comes to somebody like you. Like when you get into a spat with your spouse or with your kids. I'm sorry. No, you ain't sorry. Because you get to a breaking point real quick. You really do. You mad until you get tired of being mad. And then you let it go. If you let it go. And you wonder Why is it so hard raising kids? Because they're just like you, if you remember. And some of you actually are not that bad, and you never were. But you don't understand why you got bad kids. Kids come through you. They're not your personal property. They don't have their stamp on them from you unless you are involved in that process. And sometimes you don't get to love it out of them. You have to set up structure. Life is full of structure, whether you want to admit to it or not. You can sit there and say you want to live free, but you can always find yourself with your hands full when everybody else is not living free. Not like you. And they don't subscribe to your beliefs because they don't have to. Free will is just that, people. It's not something that you can now say, I have free will, a choice, and what I want, you now must accept. That's bullshit. That don't even come under the scope of tolerance. That's intolerance on your part, whether you want to accept it or not. You have to accept me the way I am. No, I don't. I tell you what, I'll leave you alone over there if you leave me alone over here, which is the whole reason why you're not supposed to go into other people's lands telling them how they're supposed to live. If you really want to think about it, and you can sit there and say, well, their humanitarian rights are being violated, then that's for them to handle. You ain't handled your shit here. How you going to go over there and dictate how they're supposed to be living over there? You still are trying to work out theory and conjecture over there that you have failed to put into practice here. And history has not taught you a damn thing. Because obviously you never learned how to read a book, much less comprehend it. And that's something that you really need to get an understanding on, a very clear one. The consciousness of Christ was never about the fact that he had all the answers. He just told you how you were supposed to be living so that you could perhaps find your own answers and find your own way. And not make the boneheaded mistakes that you have made over the course of all this time to find yourself now in this situation where he would have to come back again and tell you how stupid you were being as you were so busy contemplating your navel and then talking to spirits who didn't know anything more than you, as you as mediums should know, because you sit there and say, would you take advice from that person in spirit about this? And the person says no. You said, well, you're not supposed to. Well, see, that right there is the goose and the gander having a conversation. Were they supposed to be taking advice from that person to pass on to you? I would say that's an emphatic no. But they did it anyway. Why? Because you paid them for the privilege and for their time. And at the same time, they gave you a clause in their contract. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not liable for anything that comes out of this. As if. Now I don't have a law degree, but I know how to work. I read a contract. I've worked jobs that required me to understand legal agreements. Implied and not. All law is theory and conjecture. They put it in the books, they put it in writing, but they have so many loopholes in there. That's why it has to go to arbitration and whatnot, and that's why you need a judge. And that's why they set precedents up until you appeal it. And that's why appeals go on forever and ever and ever, because somebody's always not going to like that final ruling until there is no more final ruling to be settled in terms of you even existing to bring forth the case. I think you people are quite interesting. I don't know what my father thinks I'm going to be able to teach you. Because first off, you have to have half a brain to want to learn. And at the same time, you have to have eyes to see and ears to listen. And you have to shut your mouth and start observing, which clearly you're not keen on doing. All right, well, I think I've talked enough. I guess I will go ahead and post this. He knows me. He said, yeah, you always doing it. I said, yeah, I'll get paid for this. He says, exactly. But you do it anyway. You do it out of the goodness of your heart. You did it for me. You did it for yourself, too. But you did it for me. And you did it for them. Because you actually want to see people do better. Well, if horses were horses, I guess I'd have all kind of them. And being that horses are symbolic of freedom and free spirit, I guess I got a whole world now at my feet of horses running free. All right. Have a good day.